Hi, this is Matrixity from Matrixity Muses. Welcome to my matrix. Today is the perfect fall day. If you've been outside, it's a gray day, and I love nothing better than gray days. These are the best days to go to the beach because sometimes you can really see some really beautiful cloud formations. And also because there's not many people on the beach on gray days, you have the beach to yourself. So it's always good and relaxing when you go to the beach on a gray day or even a rainy day, which I love to go as well. Because you know, I'm a storm chaser. Yes, I am. And also, this is the perfect day to be outside. You know, when I think about fall coming, this is the perfect day. I'm here with my TARDIS mug and I'm drinking some coffee. And this is actually the last of my coffee that I got from Guatemala, the last of the beans. When I was there in Guatemala, I bought about 4 bags of coffee. We visited a coffee plantation, I think the day before we flew home. And I got several bags, and so throughout the years I've used them sparingly to make them last. And so today I brewed up the very last of my Guatemala coffee beans. So I'm having some hazelnut Guatemala coffee, which is excellent, in my TARDIS mug, of course. And if you could do me a favor, there's a little button down below if you're watching this where you can subscribe, so please do. Subscribe, like, and comment. Let everyone know what I'm doing here on YouTube because I'm trying to grow my channel. And I'm outside today on the back porch because this is the perfect day to be outside. You know, the wind is blowing, you know, the leaves are starting to fall from the trees, so they're fluttering down like rain sometimes. And it's the perfect day. And so when I think about days like this, I think about fall's past. The first thing that comes to mind is when I was little at elementary school. I attended Orange Grove Elementary School. And at the beginning of every school year, I remember making that trip with my parents down to Sears downtown when it was a big Sears, and where the Sears was is now where the College of Charleston, Barnes & Noble, and other offices are located. They took over that spot. So that's where Sears was. And my mother would get all of my fall dresses there, and they were always plaid. Oh my gosh, there was a time when I got tired of plaid because every year, for most of my elementary years, it was those plaid dresses. So plaid dresses with the matching socks, always a pair of brown shoes, a new book bag, and off I would go to Orange Grove. So when I think of fall, I think of plaid. And I think I wore so much plaid when I was little. I don't wear plaid as an adult. I mean, every now and then I might have something that might have a very faint plaid pattern in it. But right now I don't have anything that's plaid. And I think throughout the years I've had just a few articles of clothing that might have had a plaid print. The other thing I think about when I think of fall is going to the fair. When I was a little girl, I remember, and this stands out in my mind so distinctly like it happened yesterday. We were at the fair, and one of the big things I always loved, I could always only get at the fair, were candied apples. Beautiful, luscious candy apples. You know, that red sugar was like glass on the outside, and biting into it, it was so scrumptious, the crunch on your teeth, and then the juicy apple in between. So I remember always having a candy apple at the fair. And I remember one year we were going to go on a ride, and so I just finished my candy apple and needed someplace to put my trash. I looked around, there was no trash can that I could see. But then suddenly on the other side of the concession stand, there was a big gray trash can. So I just quickly opened the lid and threw in my paper. But when I looked in, it was full of apples. It was a giant trash can full of apples soaking in water. And so I kind of was like deer in headlights. What am I going to do? I quickly put the lid on and I left because I didn't want to be digging around in the apples in case the proprietors of the stand saw me. So that was like a snafu there. Innocent, didn't know that it was not the trash. Thought it was the trash, but it really was a big trash can full of apples. And I guess that's where the apples were that they were using to make the candy apples from. The other thing I remember when I think about fall, probably is when I think about, going through the years when I was at the College of Charleston. One of the years I was there, I think it was the first year I stayed on campus, I was at the trailers. Now, the College of Charleston used to have trailers, and they were on Calhoun Street, directly across the street from where the library is now. The library used to be Bishop England, my high school. Directly across the street where I think there's a science building now, there were trailers all lined up. and that was student housing. So I was in a trailer. And the year I was there in a trailer, the way they divided the trailers is like a double wide trailer. Two girls were on one side, two girls on the other side. In the middle was like the kitchen area. So that term, I had no roommate. So literally, I had the whole side of my trailer to myself. So I set it up like it was my own apartment. And I remember one of the dorm assistants coming in one day and telling me that don't get too comfortable because you are not going to always be by yourself in this room. And I said, okay, if y'all get a roommate and put her in here, then I'll move my stuff. But until then, this is my little haven. So I had my plants everywhere, and back then I was into plants, house plants, tons of them. And I know that the College of Charleston would have plant sales, and I buy plants, and I had a green thumb. I mean, I could grow anything. And so I had a wall of plants on my bookshelf that was made of milk crates, because that was the big thing. Bookshelves made of milk crates, and it was beautiful. So then the day came when the resident assistants came down and says, Mary Catherine, Matrixity, you're going to get a roommate. So it's like, oh, I was so disappointed. But anyway, she moved in. I moved my stuff over to one side, and she was a very nice girl. And I think she was from Minnesota. I cannot remember her name to save my life, but she was from way up north where it's bitter cold. And so being in Charleston, she was homesick a lot of the time. And so what she would do, especially when it was winter here, because we could never get as cold as it was up there in Minnesota with the snow and the ice, she would make me pretend, and this would only happen on Friday nights. She'd make me pretend that I was in Minnesota with her. So what she would do is, this only happened in the wintertime, we'd put on big sweaters. She says, you got to put your big sweater on. So I would. And then she'd open every single window in our side of the apartment, the trailer. And so it would be flooded with the cold air. We'd turn the heater off, so it'd be freezing cold in our trailer. And then she would break out the peppermint schnapps, because what she said was her friends up north, they would do this on Friday nights. They would go get a bottle of peppermint schnapps and then go out to the woods and drink it. So she and I would sit there and have a couple of shots on a Friday night, and she would pretend that she was in Minnesota. So that's what we did on Friday nights in the trailers. So that was fun. It was fun. I mean, to this day, you know, I don't think I've had. Ooh, what's that sound? I think that's the Charleston Landing. They're shooting cannons today. I've heard that sound off and on all day today. But I haven't had peppermint schnapps since college. I think I've drank so much with her, I didn't want any more as an adult. So I don't think I've had any peppermint schnapps since then. And the other thing too, when I think of fall, I think about when I lived in North Carolina. Oh, it was beautiful there and I loved it there because it had all 4 seasons. When fall came, there was one beautiful tree in a cemetery. You know, I love cemeteries. I would go to the cemetery every fall just to watch the leaves. First it would turn beautiful red and then yellow, and then they would all fall, but it was the most gorgeous tree. I couldn't get to the mountains there because of work and whatever, but we had enough beautiful trees around Durham and Chapel Hill. I still got the same effect because we had a true fall there. So I loved North Carolina because we had a true fall, and I got to see the leaves turn, which is fantastic. And then of course we had a real winter. We had pretty much ice and snow, which I loved. And of course I was the crazy one from Charleston who got excited about the snow and the ice storms. We had ice storms almost every year, which I loved because it was so beautiful. The trees were covered in ice. Granted, it would also cover the power lines and break, and we have no electricity. But as far as the beauty of the ice storm, oh, I was all about it. Happy. Everybody there who lived there thought I was crazy, but it's like, you know, I said, I'm from Charleston. We don't have this. So ice and snow, boom, I was all about it. So that was lovely, living in North Carolina and having a true fall. The other thing I did one year was I did make it out to the fair in North Carolina. I wanted to check it out, see what it was about. And I did. And one thing they had was they had an elephant where you could ride the elephant with a guide. Well, I thought about that, and I watched for about 10 minutes, and I said, okay, gotta ride that elephant. So I rode the elephant, and it was a guide. It was like a penned-in area, and the elephant looked good. You know, I hope that the care was good, but he looked good as far as his body and, you know, skin and all of that. He looked good, like he was well cared for. So got up, hiked myself up there, got into the little chair that they had on top, and the guy started walking me around the pen. And then suddenly, oh my gosh, suddenly I remembered an elephant ride here in Charleston, I think back in the 70s, that went terribly wrong. I think it was some sort of circus that we used to have come into town at the Gilliard, and they had elephant rides here. And on one of the years, the elephant went crazy and was running up and down Calhoun Street. I don't know if somebody was on the elephant at the time, but I think so. But it scared everybody. And suddenly remembering that, when I was on the elephant in North Carolina, I got panicked. In my mind, I got panicked like, oh, I'm on this elephant. Suppose this elephant goes crazy. Well, the elephant didn't go crazy, but once I got in my mind, it was like the longest ride ever that would never, ever end. Oh my gosh. The song that never end, the song that never, that was the elephant ride. The elephant ride that would never end. Granted, it was only probably like 5 minutes that the guide walked us around the pen, but because in my mind I had panicked myself, it just took forever. It seems like I was up that elephant for an hour, and I was never so happy to be off that elephant when it was time for it to be over. And once I got down, I don't know. I mean, I rode the elephant, but I didn't enjoy the ride halfway through because I panicked myself. But anyway, I've ridden the elephant as well as the camel. So I'm good with that. I don't know if I ever need to ride an elephant ever again. I think I might be good with that because I've already done it. The other thing when I think about fall, is, and this is true too, when I was, training and had to go to Chicago, the winters there, I mean, I am, and I know this is probably not popular, but I'm a fur person. I love real fur. I mean, I wear faux fur, but I also wear real fur. Just the feel of real fur, and the furs that I have bought in the past have always been like from an estate sale. Somebody else has already bought it. Okay, quiet little doggy. Someone else has already bought it. They passed away. Their family's having an estate sale, so then I would buy it. So it isn't like I bought a brand new fur from Belk's, which they do have here and in North Carolina, because I bought some furs in North Carolina as well from Belk's, which are beautiful, brand new furs. But other estate furs that I bought were already pre-owned. I've bought them, and I have those. Unfortunately, here in Charleston, I have had just a few occasions where I've had a chance to wear my furs. I've had like a little fur scarf with the mink tails on it. I've worn that, several years, but I haven't had a chance to wear my big giant fur. I've gone to a couple of formal occasions. I could have worn my mink stole, but I didn't even pull it out. I could have done that. Didn't do that, but fall is in the air, so I think about cooler temperatures, fur, wrapping up in a blanket. And I love to be outside in the cold and wrap up. So that's why I mentioned the furs, because when it's cold, I like to be outside with a cup of coffee, gloves, mittens, just bundle up and be outside in the cold. I love that. And when I was in North Carolina, I spent a lot of time at the Eno River, as you well know, hiking the trails, in the fall. So that was really a neat thing. So here in Charleston, our weather is so tropical. Today it's like a very unusual kind of day. It's gray. We got a little breeze going on. Will it last? I don't know. I hope so, because it's time. I mean, it is October. When I was a little girl, I remember October was cold. Now we're going to have any cold, or is it going to not get cold till November? I don't know. And I know it's here, it's so warm. Sometimes it's December and it's Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and it's 7 degrees. You can wear t-shirts and everyone's at the beach, including me. So fall is here. I'm looking forward to fall, drinking more coffee, breaking out my tea, using my TARDIS mug. So cozy up, snuggle up, in the warm blankets. And I've got my blanket out here with you on the porch, thinking I was going to need it, but I don't. I thought the breeze was going to be stronger and I would need my blanket, but I don't. So far, the dogs just snuggle up in it. Just her, not me. So I'm going to go and read my book. I'm still trying to get through reading Alita and Tehran. So I'm still reading that. I'm about halfway through that book now. So I'm going to finish up that book, or at least read some more of that book today. Finish up my coffee. And I hope you all have a great day. And I will be back soon. So see you later, alligator. Bye.